I'm David Kerr, Professor of Cancer Medicine at the University of Oxford. There was an interesting article I picked up recently in the British Medical Journal, which was authored and led by a dear friend of mine, Professor Richard Sullivan from King's College in London. Richard has been a friend for more than 2 decades and has played a great role nationally and internationally in cancer control in the most general sense. He and some very senior oncologists in the UK have prepared this publication for the BMJ, in which they call the government's decision to merge cancer with other chronic diseases and cardiovascular disease, respiratory, dementia, mental health, putting it all into one basket of chronic diseases as a catastrophe for cancer services in the United Kingdom. Their argument, which I think is an entirely reasonable one, is that if you look around the world, the World Health Organization has taken a lead in developing a framework for cancer control. And indeed, many of you who listen to Medscape have heard me talk about the work that we've done in Sub-Saharan Africa, in Iraq, other areas of the Middle East, work that we've done in India, supporting cancer control. I was in the late 90s one of the architects of the British National Cancer Plan, and we have made great strides, there's no question about that. We had a government that was prepared to invest in cancer, that was prepared to understand the depth, the extent of the problem, and the fact that our cancer survival figures internationally are lagging behind many of our European neighbours. That set the scene for a significant investment in cancer services. The anxiety that we have now, despite almost 2 decades of investment, of planning, I think of delivery by the health policy makers, by the community of oncologists, of cancer healthcare professionals, I still think that it's a bad idea. I think cancer stands alone in terms of the complexity of its treatment, the multi-modalities involved, the complexity of the referral journey from primary care through to secondary care, which of course is still not done in a timely enough fashion. There's some evidence to suggest that cancer patients in the United Kingdom present with somewhat later stage disease than those of our neighbours, our cousins, our brothers and sisters in the continent of Europe. So work to be done there. The other thing that, despite the investment in cancer care, we have some worrying statistics suggesting a significant degree of unwarranted variation. Now, we've talked about this in the past. All of us understand biological variation are genetically different, and therefore a response to treatments, to drugs, the phenotype and behavior of our cancer can depend on the genetics that we inherit from our parents. It can depend on the environment in which we choose or are forced to live. But unwarranted variation is to do with variation in access to the appropriate screening, treatment, and follow-up. And there's some quite stark statistics that, despite successive cancer plans, unwarranted variation still looms large in the United Kingdom. It looms large here, it will loom large even further elsewhere. This health equity gap which I think dishonours us all. So I think it's about health policy decision. Now, I would say that, wouldn't I, because I'm a cancer lobbyist, but I think that we have compelling evidence that given its complexity, this seems to be swimming against the tide, swimming against the general global direction about signalling cancer out and singling cancer out as a complex set of many diseases which require specific attention. I'd be very interested in your comments from your own experience, from your own country, from those of us who work with me within our National Healthcare Service. Do we think this is a good idea? Do we think we've had it too good for too long? As some of our colleagues might say from these other, one would argue, chronically underfunded chronic conditions? Or are we right to provide the evidence and state that still we need to have cancer, we still need to have separate national cancer plan with milestones, deliverables that we, the community, responsible, are held to account to deliver. Please drop me a note. Please pass comments. As always, thanks for listening. For the time being, Medscapers, over and out. Thank you.